Now, as we've learnt today, 5 million Brits, well, they may not be able to vote in the local elections this year. Yes, many counties are not going to be able to vote, but the 5 million number is also pertinent for another reason. Yes, 5 million Brits could also, this is the map of the 5 million Brits who won't be able to vote in the local elections this year, but moving on, 5 million Brits is also the number of those having their bin collection service reduced to once a month.
Yes, OK, so let's bring in our guest, Shimeon Lee from the Taxpayers Alliance. Tell us more, Shimeon.
Well, bin collections is one of the basic, most fundamental duties of local government. It's why we pay our council taxes. And if we have bins getting piled up in the street, garbage being left in people's houses for up to a month, that's a very clear sign that local councils have failed. Now, a TPA investigation has found that 42 councils are considering reducing the frequency of bin collections. I think about 12 councils are moving to a three-weekly collection, and 3 councils are moving to a monthly collections. Now, can you imagine having your bins collected just once a month? That is absolutely outrageous and unacceptable.
Once a month? I mean, that's actually just grim. Unsightly, stinky, nasty, unhygienic.
Bristol Council is one of those considering this. Where else?
Well, in addition to Bristol Council, I think some of the worst run councils in the country are actually considering this. I think bankrupt Birmingham Council is one of the councils. They're considering moving from a weekly collection to a fortnightly collection. That literally means that services for those residents will be cut in half. And that comes at the same time as Birmingham City Council is actually raising council tax by 7.5% this year. And that's on the back of a 10% increase in council tax last year. So in many cases, residents are paying more and they're getting less.
As you say, Birmingham Council is bankrupt. Many councils are really strapped for cash. Is this not just inevitable, that there isn't any money?
Well, I think that's not the case at all. If we look at the numbers, 42 councils are considering it, but let's look at the 9 in 10 councils, the rest of the councils that aren't considering reducing bin collections. And the reason for these decreased frequency of bin collections, some councils are blaming the government, and of course the government is blaming the previous government for all sorts of regulations, environmental regulations that require councils to collect, to offer a whole range of bins to residents. I think we had research last year that showed that in some parts of the country, councils are offering 10 different bins that people have to sort their recycling into. And that's part of what's driving up the cost.
I mean, that's driving up the cost, isn't it? I mean, it's all about priorities, really, and I think bin collections do need to be pretty high up there.
Yeah, you'd think
in the list.
It's one of the number one services that councils
deliver. Imagine your stinky bins out for a whole month. I mean, that's not exactly a first world country, is it?
No. Well, Shimeon Lee of the Taxpayers Alliance, thanks so much for bringing us that story. 5 million Brits could be waiting so much longer for their bins to be taken away.
And their vote.